up guys and welcome back to for today's video. And today we're going to be solving a simple application countdown timer. So let us see the requirement of this application. It's very simple. So it's basically a countdown timer as it says in this big title. So we're having so we just enter any value over here, and if it starts counting down the timer, and if it stop, it basically stop the timer and the start button became continue. And if it resets the timer. So now if I hit some value and I hit start, it is basically a timer. So and this is a full on timer guys. So if you see here, if I enter a value more than 60, it gets added to the minute. Okay, wow. It's a proper way of a timer. If I just add a value more than 60 in the minutes, it gets added to the hour and it is counting down. So today we'll be implementing this application. Okay, so as you see here, we are having a title, and we are having three small titles for hour, minutes and seconds, and we are having input tags here. Okay, it's basically input tag. It is allowing me to enter values here, and you have we're having three buttons: start, stop and reset. You have start, stop and reset. Okay, this is the basic application. So let's go ahead and code the application. So I basically create a new folder over here. I'm just going to create a new file, index.html, the HTML file. I'm going to just have another index.js file and style.css file. That's it. So in our basic HTML file, I'm going to have a basic HTML doc type. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a link tag. The first step is link your HTML and CSS. Okay, I'm going to link my CSS. Link your JavaScript and CSS. I'm going to have the script tag. The src will be index.js. I just basically linked it. So I'm going to have a div tag, and I'm going to put every single thing inside this container. I'm going to name it container, and inside this container I'm going to have the title. Okay, I first have to have this title. So I'm basically going to have the title as span tag. Okay, so I'm just going to span dot container. This way of writing the class name is called BEM method. Okay, I recommend writing the class name like this. This is which is count down timer. It's the title. So now I have to display these three labels. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and have a div tag for the labels. So div. So I'm just going to use dot div container underscore labels. So inside we are going to have three labels, correct? So which is going to be a span tag as well. So span dot container. I'm going to use labels hyphen label. Okay, this I really recommend styling like this. I'm just going to alt shift down. Okay, I'm going to use both of the three things. So first is going to be hour. Next is going to be minute. Next is going to be second. So the next step is we have to display these three input tags, correct? So I'm going to do that inside another div dot container underscore inputs, and I'm gonna have three input tags. So input dot I'm just gonna give it container. I'm just gonna give it a simple name as input. Okay, wow. I'm gonna do three of it. So star three. Oh, sorry, star three will just give me three input tags. So one, two. I'm not gonna have three over here. I'm just gonna have one. I'll just copy paste it next time. Input them, and here the text, the type of text is gonna be number, and the class is gonna be input. So the placeholder will be 00. So placeholder is gonna be 00. And you see here we cannot enter more than two values. Okay, I'm not able to enter more than two values, so I'm just going to go and give it a max length of 2. If I'm able to enter more than two values, so see here, that is the output. So I'm just going to basically copy the path of the code we written here, I'm going to paste it. This is the code we have returned here. Okay, wow. So see, so in this input tag I am able to type more than two values. So even though the max length is 2, I am able to type. So I have to slice it. Okay, wow. So I'm just going to use the on input. So on input, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this dot value dot value is equal to this dot value dot slice. I'm gonna slice 0 to this dot max length. Okay, so now let's check if it works. Let's refresh the page, and it's not allowing me to enter more than two values. So that's it. So now I have to have three of this. I'm going to go here, Alt Shift down arrow. So now I have three of this, correct up. So now I'm just going to basically hit home, and when I hit home, now basically when I refresh, we have three of the things. So the next part is you have to add three buttons. Okay, I'm just going to go to the HTML. So I'm going to have the same div tag, div dot container underscore btns. So I'm just going to go enter, and here I'm going to have three buttons, right? Button dot btn. I'm going to just give btn. I'm going to hit. So I'm going to give btn, and I'm just going to give into 3. Oh, this will not work. You have to give into 3 here, and now we have three buttons. So now we are basically gonna go here and just undo whatever we did now. They're gonna go here, hit enter, hit the end, and then we'll go here, hit enter. Now we have three buttons. I'm going to give it a class of starter. The same thing is here. Second class of starter, and the second class is going to be stopper. Same here, stopper, and here is going to be reset. Here, reset. So now we have three buttons to play with. Okay. So now the HTML, the base HTML is done. So now let's take a look at CSS. Okay. So now we just have to see, we have to get it to our center of the page. Okay, wow. So now what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to target I'm just going to get rid of all the margin. So dot the margin. So first I'll just not get rid of the margin, and instead of getting rid of the margin, I'm going to target the body tag. Body. I'm going to give it a height. I'm going to give it 85 vertical height, which is VH. And I'm going to put display flex to put it inside a flex box. Display flex, and the flex direction, flex direction will be column. I have to put it column wise, and I'm just going to put justify content as center, and let's see what happened now. So now it's in the center of the column. So now we have to put it in the center of the row. I'm just going to put align items center. Now it is in the very most centermost of the page. Okay, wow. So now we did whatever we want to do here. So I'm just going to give the font family of font family of sans serif. The font is little bit good. Okay. So now I'm going to target the title and make it look good. So container title. So dot container underscore title. So I'm just going to give it font size as 40 pixel, and I'm going to give it text align center, and I think that is basically it. Yes, it is lot bigger now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give it a little bit of margin. I'm going to give it 10 pixel for 20 pixel. Let's just see that. Yes, now it's a little bit center. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this. I'm going to just take 3 of it, and this 3 the labels, the inputs, and the buttons should look something like this, correct? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to target all 3 elements, which is container labels, container inputs, and container btns. We'll just target all of the 3 elements. Dot container instead of titles, it will be container labels, comma, dot container inputs, comma, dot container, it should be container btns. And for all of these 3, I'm going to put it inside a flex box. So display is going to be flex, and the flex direction is going to be row, and I'm just going to put justify content as space between. So if we take a look at our elements now, it is a lot more cleaner. Okay, everything is separated and it looks a lot more cleaner. Okay, wow. The next thing is, we have to make this thing, the input tags bigger, and we have to give styling for the buttons. So I'm going to just target the input, the labels first. So I'm going to, what is that? Container labels hyphen label. I'm going to target this, and I'm going to just increase the font size to 25 pixel. So something is wrong here. So if I just go here, LABLE, container labels, labels, LES, we just adjust the spelling real quick. Labels, and that is it. It should work now. It is in the perfect size. I'm going to target the input tab. So it should be input, just input. So I'm going to put it border as none, and then the font, I'm going to give it a width. Okay. Font, I'm just going to give it a font size of 40 pixel. If I give the font size of 40 pixel, it is going here. Okay, everything is moving. So the width, the total width should be smaller. I'm just going to give it 90 pixel. Refresh it, it is in the perfect size. So I'll just give 100 pixel and see how it is. This little correct, and I want to give it text align as center. So it aligns properly. Okay, so we got the thing correctly. So the outline is, so I have to give the outline, outline as none too, so that the outline will not come. Okay, now let me just target the buttons. So btn now. So the btn, I have to put dot btn now. Dot btn. So what I should do is the padding will be 10 pixel for, I think 30 pixel is good. Let's just see how much it is going. So I'll just give 20 pixel here, 20 pixel for 30 pixel. So the length is incrementing, so I'll just give 10 here, and this will give 40. Yes, it is now in perfect shapes. So now I just need to remove the border. So border is none, and the color should be white, and the next thing is the border radius. It should be little curved. So border, control Z, border radius should be 5 pixel, and let's just see it now. It just looks so much better. The next thing is, I'm just going to go here, and the width should be 48 percentage. Just give 48 percentage. We'll just make it so. So now what I have to do is, I have to give coloring for each and every single button. Start start should be the background color should be orange red, and similarly stops background color should be orange, and no, this should be green. Correct, the start button should be green, and dot reset background color should be orange red. So now if you take a look here, only the start button and the reset button is getting displayed. After you click the start button, only the stop button is getting displayed. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to go to my Visual Studio, and I'm going to give the stop buttons display as first none. Okay, wow. So if I just refresh this, only the start and reset is getting displayed. So why? So if I just take out this width, okay, wow, this width, if I just take it out and if I refresh, see, there is a space for the stop button. It should not come. So that's why I am putting the width in percent. So it is perfect. So I just have to give some padding to it. So let's just give some margin and some padding. So let's just give some margin over here. Margin will be 20 pixel, comma 30 pixel. The comma should not be there, only a space should be there. So refresh it. It is now looking little decent. Okay, wow. As per the requirement, both the requirement and this is the same. So it's looking little decent and we got it to the shape, but nothing of it is working. So we have to write the JavaScript code. So let's just take a look at whatever values we need. Okay, we need the 3 input values. Correct? We need the 3 input values and we need the 3 button values. So I'm just gonna go to my JavaScript. I'm just gonna take it. Okay. So if you take a look at here, I got, as we talked about here, we need the 3 input values and the 3 button values. So I took the button values and I used query set all and put all of the input tags in this input array, and I took all of the 3 input values. This is simple. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm just gonna basically, this is not container input, just input. Let me just double check. This is just input. Okay, so let's just go over to the index.js. So next what I'm going to do is, I'm just gonna, so when you click on a start button, we have to start counting down, right? So I'm going to have an add event listener for the start button. Start dot add event listener. So the event is going to be click, and the function, and we have to write the function, and I'm going to have an arrow function here. If you take a look at here, we have to change this timer for every 1 second. For every 1 second, we have to change this. Correct? For every 1 second, you have to just keep on decrementing the values. So what we are going to do is, we are going to have a interval. Okay, wow. My logic is, there is some logic, correct? There is some logic to decrement every single value here. Fate 23 and hit continue. It is for every 1 second, it is basically decrementing. Okay, let's just say the decrementing logic, I have it in a function. Okay, wow. So for each and every single function, if I call that decrementing logic, it will just basically decrement, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have an interval. Okay, wow. So to have an interval, you have to have a variable. So let count them. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to have an interval. So basically, so if you see here, if there is no value and if you hit start, you should do nothing, right? So I'm just going to have that condition over here. If or 1 second, little r dot value is equal to none, and for and you have to use this symbol and min dot value equal to none, and second dot value equal to none. If all 3 values are there, we just have to return. Okay, so if any value is present, what we can do is, like I said, we can call a function for every single time. Okay, for every single second, I'm sorry. So I'm just gonna say count is equal to set interval. Okay, set interval of, here the interval is going to be for every 1000 milliseconds. So we all know 1000 milliseconds is 1 second. So I'm basically, what I'm going to do is, for every second we have to decrement the timer. We have to decrement the values, right? So I'm just going to call a logic, timer. I'm just going to call a function for every single second. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to write this function here. So function timer. So I'm just going to call this timer function for every single second. Okay, wow. It will have no parameters. What I'm gonna do here is, first I'm gonna check if hour dot value is equal to 0 and minute dot value equal to 0 and seconds dot value equal to 0. If everything is 0 na, then we have to make, if everything is 0 na, then it should come. If you see here, if I hit just 4, when it comes to 0, it just goes to the previous part, it just goes to none. I have to make everything none. So hour dot value equal to none. Similarly, minute, similarly seconds. Simple. So now if anything value is not 0, okay, let's say if seconds dot value not equal to 0, then what you have to do, you have to start counting down. Okay, wow. This function will get called for every single second. Every single second this function will get called, so you have to start counting down, correct? So seconds dot value is equal to, let's put it inside the string m, seconds, have to use the dollar thingy, seconds dot value minus 1. So every single second we have to start counting down. This is our application. If I just refresh it, for every single second the timer logic works. So for every single seconds we are counting down. Okay, wow. So simple difference is, if you see here in our thing, if it's less than 10 now, it's showing 9, 8. But here, if I just press 3 now and hit start, it's showing 0, 2 and 0, 1. So you have to display 0. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to basically have another one of this. So if seconds dot value is greater than or equal to 10, sorry, less than or equal to 10, less than or equal to 10 now, then we have to add 0 to it, or we can add an empty string. Okay, so if we just refresh our timer and hit like 10 and hit start, if it is less than 10, it's adding 0 to the timer. Simple. The same thing we have to do for minutes too. Okay, wow. So we have to have another else if minute dot value not equal to 0 and our seconds value should be 0. Okay, then only you have to start counting down. So see here, immediately if you just before coding one thing, look at the requirement. Okay, if you just look here and you add like 1 minute over here, okay, it basically converts the minute to seconds. Okay, it just makes the seconds 59. So I'm just going to say seconds dot value equal to 59. Okay, and then the same logic for minutes. I'm going to highlight the seconds. Let's hit Control D, so you can select it, and D. Let's just tell it minutes. Simple. Now let's check if the minute works. Go to our code, you hit 1 minute and you hit start. It works. Simple. So now before that, Okay, so another thing I want to mention here is, if you hit start, if you hit a value and start in here, in the start button change to stop button. So we'll just implement that as well. So start dot style dot style style dot display will be none. You have to make the start button display to none and stop button to initial. Okay, so if let's go to our documentation, hit some value, hit start, it changes to stop button. Simple. So now the next thing is you have to implement the hover as well. So control C, control V. Okay, so I'm just going to select this minute time. Control D. Okay, control D, control D, control D. Hover. I change all of the things to hover, and the minute value should be 60. And I'm going to select this. Control D. Going to be minute. Simple. Now if I hit 2 hours, let's start. Oh, nothing is happening. 1 second. Minute value should be 0 and minute value should be 60. Hour value less than 10, hour minus 1. The thing is correct. Why it's not working? 1 second. So sorry guys, it was not refreshed. So not everything is working. If I hit start, it converts to 60 and 60 converts to 59 and it is working. So now the basic timer logic is working. Okay, the timer thing is now working. The next thing is, the next requirement is, if I put 70 here and hit start, the thing should be get added to 1 minute. Okay, and the remaining seconds only should be displayed. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to implement that logic. Okay, if seconds dot value is greater than 60 now, then it is greater than 60 now, then we have to plus increment the minute value, minute dot value plus and seconds dot value is equal to, we have to minus from 59. Okay, wow. And the same for how minute 2. So if minute value greater than 60 now, then hour value and then minute value should be 60 here. 60. So here if I refresh and I put 67 here, it starts, gets added to 1 minute and it becomes 7 seconds. And if I have 89 over here, it gets added to 1 hour and the proper way of the timer is now working. So the start thing is working. Now we have to stop it. Okay, so you notice every single second this timer is getting called, this timer function. To stop it, if we just stop this interval, okay, for every single second, the timer function is getting called. If we stop that call, then the timer will just pause. Am I correct? So we have to stop it. So I'm just going to implement a function stop interval. So for this, the state is going to be one thing. So if you have to stop, what you have to do? You have to basically clear an interval. Okay, so I'm going to just say clear interval And for this clear interval function, you have to specify the interval id. So you see, we have assigned this count to the set interval. So what this set interval will return is, it will return the interval id. So we are storing that in count. We can just use our count here and we can just clear the interval. So I'll just have stop dot add event listener. Here I can just, the event is click and the function is simple, it's an arrow function. What happened, pa? The comma in the wrong place. The function is simple, it is an arrow function. And now I am going to, now in the stop, in the add event this, I'm just going to go stop. I'm just going to call the stop interval. Sorry guys, stop interval function. And the state is going to be pause. Okay, wow, we are pausing it. So I'm just giving the state as pause. So now let's see if it pauses. So I'm just giving 33 here. It's pausing. See, the timer logic worked. But here when you hit something and you hit start and you hit stop, the stop button changes to continue. Okay, then what you have to do? The stop button changes to start button. The start button's inner HTML changes to continue. So what you have to do is start dot inner HTML. It depends on the state. Okay, wow. State is equal to state if it is equal to pause now, then the inner HTML is continue, else the inner HTML is start. That's it. So now we have to just change the display. The code is right here to change the display, and we can change the display, the start button to initial and this button to none. If we go here and we go to our page and we hit refresh, just put some value, hit start, we just hit stop, it changes to continue. If we continue, it is continuing. We just now, the last thing is you have to implement the reset function, reset button. So reset, this is add event listener is click. We just, if we hit reset, the interval should pause. So we'll just have the stop interval here. So the main thing is we just have to get all this hour value, second value, and put it over here. We just have to make it empty. Simple. And if it is empty now, here we can just call the stop interval. The interval should stop if it's empty. Okay. If we just hit, we don't have to hit refresh. We can just hit reset. What? Yes, we have to hit refresh and hit reset. Okay. And if we just hit start, it is stopping. And if stop, it is stopping. If reset, it is resetting. And the continue is setting to reset. This is the countdown timer application, and thank you for watching, and be sure to try it. Okay, thank you guys. See you in the next video. Thanks.